and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ann Arbor Mentality Podcast. I am your host, Dion Pittman, along with the other host, Mr. Ed Williams. Say what up, Ed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Good to see you.
We are your two hosts for today's show, and we're going to get into some good stuff about Ann Arbor. Ed just got back from Ann Arbor for almost a whole freaking month, chilling at Weber's Inn, hot tub, eating good, traveling, reminiscing, going back to the old schools, parking in the parking lot, crying for a little. Ipsy Ann Arbor. But we have an exciting guest on today, and this is going to take our show to a whole nother different angle, I believe, because we're going to be dipping into the value of Ann Arbor. We're going to be dipping into the real estate of Ann Arbor. We're getting back into the mentality of Ann Arbor. And we have a realtor here that I found online, and just following her with her Tree Town Homes on Instagram and her YouTube and everything. Very valuable for what she does. And I think I can quote her is in the I Sell Ann Arbor.
Oh yeah.
I think I might have heard that quote there, but ladies and gentlemen, this is Tanya Hill, Ann Arbor resident, Ann Arbor realtor in the game. Welcome.
Love Ann Arbor. Love everything about it. I sell Ann Arbor all day.
I'll tell you, once again, that sounds like a t-shirt right there. You're gonna have to give me and Ed 20% on that t-shirt on those sales.
Well, our YouTube channel is Ann Arbor Realtor Live, and my Instagram is Tree Town Homes. And what we are basically doing is we're walking around town, just living our life here in Ann Arbor and showing people what's going on. You know, maybe it's homecoming night, and because people don't buy a home, they buy a community when you're buying in Ann Arbor. You're buying a quality of life. So,
well,
what was that?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm just thinking while you're talking about what you're talking about.
Well, what we like to do here in Ann Arbor is people in Ann Arbor like to live. They like to dine. They like entertainment. If you're in Michigan, there's only a few cities where it's hard to park, and that's important. Because if traffic is deep or it's hard to park, that's because things are going on. Like everybody always complains about all of the highways in Atlanta. That's because it's Atlanta. So Ann Arbor is one of the few cities in Michigan where it's hard to park, which is a huge benefit because things are going on. Now the parking garages, of course, are super easy if you don't mind walking. You got to like walking to be out here. And that's the thing. People like to exercise. They like to run. They bike. They like to dine. Of course, they're into the entertainment. I mean, we have a lot of activities going on at the different Hill Auditorium and things like that. And a lot of people will come here. Of course, they go to the Detroit metro area too, but that's close to Ann Arbor. Everything, in my opinion, is close to Ann Arbor. Here, you can go over to Birmingham, you can go over to Royal Oak, nice places to visit. You can visit Plymouth, you can visit Detroit, but especially during the coronavirus quarantine, we recognized a lot of the benefits in Ann Arbor. And one of our largest benefits are our parks and our communities. So when people pick a house, they normally will pick a neighborhood. Some people will only live in a particular neighborhood. They only want to be in the Vets Park Triangle. That's where they live. They need a bigger house. They need a smaller house, but they needed to stay in the Vets Park Triangle.
Well, I got a question on that.
Sure.
I got a question on that. When you say Vets Park Triangle, because I stayed right by Slauson, by the Rock. Is the Rock still there?
The Rock is still there.
Okay. Is that part of the triangle? Because when you say triangle, we never called it that. So I'm thinking a triangle from those two streets up.
If you look at a map, I'll send you a picture and you can put it in this broadcast if you like. When you look at a map, there's Vets Park and there's legitimately some blocks that are triangles that form a triangle around Vets Park. And so it's only about 5 streets. It's not very big. It's like the 3 streets here, and then there's a couple of cross streets that are coming through it. And those are people who legitimately want their kids to be able to walk to Vets Park.
Okay. And Interesting.
Yeah. So they're those. Ann Arbor is a niche market. There's small little neighborhood niche markets. When you're shopping for a house in Ann Arbor, oftentimes what you do is you pick your location and you perch and you wait for a house to be available in that area. For example, right now I have a listing that's in Earhart Village, which is on Green Hills, right?
Okay.
And it's just this little condominium complex. There's only 2 sections of the city that, let me say that again. There's only 2 sections if you want to be in King's School where you can buy, because we also pick according to our schools. If you ask anybody in Ann Arbor, they're going to say, oh, I lived here and this is the best place to live in Ann Arbor. Or I lived there and it's the best place to live in Ann Arbor. And they have these particular, and they'll tell you, oh, no, you don't want to live in these other places because you want to be in Northside, because Northside is the best place to live, especially if you're working at the Kellogg Eye. And, you know, if you're at the medical complex, if you're, if and then I've recognized over these years that the college students have a whole nother perspective of the city than the townies. For example, if I'm talking about the North Side, right? They call me up and they say, oh, I need to be in the White Coat District. Well, if you tell a townie the White Coat District, they don't know what the White Coat District, what are you talking about? Well, get this, because you guys are local, so this is gonna make you laugh a little bit. You have medical residents who make a decent amount of, they make good money, but you know, we have a lot of different values here in Ann Arbor. And they say, I want to live in the White Coat District. And the landmark that they have in their head is Carytown. Being from Ann Arbor, you know that Carytown is the most expensive real estate in the entire city, and everything fans out from there. You hit Carytown and it is at least $500 a square foot. And then you go out to the peripheries of the bubble. Again, if I had a map here and you could see the highways and how it creates a bubble. So once you get past 23 on the other side of Carpenter, once you get outside of 14, you know, that's outside of the bubble. And we have the Pittsfield townships and things like that. If you're outside of the bubble, let's say it's going to be at least $111 a square foot. You see that difference? So I have these medical students call me up and they're like, oh, I have to be in the White Coat District. And I'm like, there's not a lot of property over there. And they don't move.
Yeah.
And you're talking about $500 a square foot. Oh, but you're from New York and Chicago and China and all these other countries, and your parents, okay, let's talk to your parents. Let's put you in the White Coat District. But there's only 3 condominium complexes that are, because they are being told that they need to be 15 minutes within the distance of the university. And they're thinking that they want to be able to walk and bike there, right? And they're not thinking about parking. So they're literally legitimately trying to get in these few, areas. And I don't want to talk about all those specific places, right? Those 3 specific places, but I do want to say that Island Park is where it starts. Okay. And the problem is these places are very expensive and some of them don't have air conditioning.
Well, now give our listeners, give our listeners, when you say expensive, because now our listeners from Ann Arbor and new listeners are now zoned out around the world. Some left in the 90s, some this. So when you say expensive, what is your expensive?
I would love to tell you what expensive. So this is Michigan. Let's start there. So it's hard to find a $3 million house in Michigan. Okay. There are not very many of them. I also work with Signature Sotheby's International. So I do understand the greater real estate market. Okay. And I like to always remind people when they talk about the real estate market, there's not one real estate market. There's over 400 real estate markets across the country. Right. And Ann Arbor's real estate market is not comparable to anything else in the state of Michigan, really, because we have the University of Michigan. And I'm not saying that Lansing doesn't have Michigan State and we don't have Wayne State. I'm just saying that Ann Arbor is different. Ann Arbor is more akin to Denver, Colorado without the mountains. As a matter of fact, a real estate agent told me once, and her family, they were city planners. And she told us, she's a broker, so she knew what she was talking about. She said that the city of Ann Arbor was designed in the same way that Denver, Colorado was designed.
Okay, I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you there real quick. We have friends that migrated to Denver from Ann Arbor, And there's been this Ann Arbor Denver connection. So what you're saying is making all this weird sense to me right now. What is that connection there?
Okay, you're right. What I'm saying is that the same city planners designed both of these cities according to what this broker told us. And the way that they designed it is they didn't scrape everything and build property. Instead, they looked at the natural flow of the trees and the hills in the cities and the parks, and they designed the city around what was natural. And I did make the decision as a young adult to either go, I was thinking about Fort Collins, Colorado, Boulder, Denver, and then I decided to come to Ann Arbor because my family is in Michigan. And I said, Ann Arbor is just, and I was a kid, I didn't know a whole lot. I was like, maybe 20. And I said, oh my goodness, Ann Arbor is just like Colorado, except that there's no mountains, but my family's here. So that's why I made that decision. Now, not to go too far out, we were talking about expensive. So, for us, expensive would be like a $1.3 million house. Like that would be our high end.
That would be an Ann Arbor expensive house?
For 2021, October 6th on a Wednesday. Because everything is today.
Right.
And the market changes every 3 months. People think, the overall market changes about every 7 to 10 years. But about every 3 months is where we're getting our comps from, our comparables.
Okay.
I'm sure that's places like, I don't know the name of the neighborhood, but it's right off of downtown, like from the Arboretum over. And there's some really nice neighborhoods over there that I drove through.
So that's Ann Arbor Hills and Burns Park.
Okay.
Yeah, we know Burns Park very well.
Yeah, we that's our old stomping grounds right there.
Well, I'll tell you, during the recession, during the major recession of here, it hit in 2006.
Okay.
It was in full force by 2009. It was over at about 2011. We were the last to be hit and the first to recover. We did have Pfizer moved out of town, and that impacted our hit. Came a little bit sooner than it would have. We are a bubble. I want to go back to this bubble thing. We are an insulated bubble, right? So at the very center of the city, you're paying about $500 a square foot. And then as you go out towards the bubble and across the highways and things, you're looking at about $111 at least a square foot. Okay.
Okay.
And in our bubble where we are insulated and we are the last ones impacted and the first ones to recover, which is what I've been doing this for 17 years. Did I mention that? I've been a real estate agent.
No, you didn't.
Years. Yeah.
17 years. Okay.
And then actually going on 18 now. But my mom liked to buy and sell property and move to different zip codes. She has a zip code thing. And so as a kid, I went to 9 different schools. And I made the decision to move here instead of Denver. Remember I mentioned that. And I attended the university. I attended Eastern Michigan University. My degree is in education.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't make sense to me to pay for that Michigan degree if I was going to get those teacher dollars, because I would have been in debt for life.
Eastern is an amazing school for teachers education, and it's been that forever, back to when it was called like Michigan Normal, or I believe. Or
That's right.
Like that. Yeah, yeah.
It was one of the first schools for teacher education in the country.
Yeah.
It was the
great.
Michigan Normal School. Yeah.
Ypsilanti.
Ipsy, yep.
So I have a love for the whole Ann Arbor area. We call it Ann Arbor adjacent. Now everybody's going to steal it once I say it out loud, okay? But that's how we call it in our blogs and things.
AAA.
Okay.
Yep. So Ann Arbor adjacent, which would be the Saline, the Dexter, the Pinckney, the Ypsilanti, the Canton, the Plymouth.
That's what I was going to ask you. What about the surrounding areas there? What's like, what do you think is the most undeveloped still? Like where, because that seems like one of the best places to get in.
Fantastic question. So I was an economics teacher. So, and a geography minor.
Wow.
So I got you on this.
Nice.
All right. So I'm going to go back to what I'm older now, and I was a teacher for 15 years. I was a public speaker for 5 years. I've been doing real estate for 17 years. So that's me telling you that I'm older without giving you my age. And
we like to say seasoned on this show. You're seasoned veteran.
I am a seasoned veteran. That's
we
what I was
yeah.
going to mention. My mom liked to move a lot. So I've been following the real estate market and the real estate trends and graphs since I was about 8 years old, because she would always involve me in she would have me sit in the office and I didn't say anything. I would just listen. And I'm an auditory learner. So I've been following real estate markets since the 80s. Just for the record, here in Southeast Michigan. I need to be specific, in Southeast Michigan. Okay. And again, Ann Arbor being my favorite city in the state, I've seen them,
of course,
you know, and I like it because of the culture and the vibe, like straight out. I'm just gonna skip all the other words, you know. If we're cool people, we know we get the vibe. Like there's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll tell you a story. This is what I like. This is when people come into town and they are trying to figure out where they want to live, right? They got a job at the university. Do I want to buy a bigger house in Canton? And I'm gonna say this one more time. When you mentioned Ann Arbor adjacent, Ann Arbor is a bubble. You mentioned Burns Park, and I started to say during the recession, we had homes in Burns Park that were not even affected by the recession. They sold at the same prices that they had always sold at. Because as you know, we got people sitting on a perch trying to get on that one particular street in Burns Park. They have a fantastic Halloween party. Well, I want my house to be on the streets that is that Halloween party. And that means that there's only about 4 or 5 blocks that I can be on. So I want a house in those 4 or 5 blocks.
Yep.
And it's just a bike ride to downtown. So
yeah.
That's how we used to get downtown from there. Just a bike ride. You're there and back. No problem. Go get something to eat. Be right back.
It is a great place to live. So, and you might have to fix that house up. And that's the difference between buying a house in Ann Arbor or Birmingham. You might think that, you know, Birmingham has a lot of great houses and Ann Arbor has a lot of great houses. And I'm just going to be frank. The condition of the house in Birmingham is going to be at a different level than the house in Ann Arbor. So you're going to buy that $850,000 house in Ann Arbor and you're going to remodel it because it's just not at your standard. Just like I was saying, when the college students come into town and they're going to move in, they need to walk to the Kellogg Eye Institute. So they're moving someplace around Island Park. Then they're going to be disappointed because they're going to say, this is the price that I would pay to live on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, and I'm in Ann Arbor? And I'm like, Ann Arbor ain't Lakeshore Drive.
Right.
You got a vibe.
Exactly.
You either know it or you don't. This is how I like to say it. When people come into town and they say, why would I move to Ann Arbor when I can move to Canton, I can move to Plymouth, I can move to Saline or Pinckney? And I said, well, Ann Arbor's not the same. Let me just give you a little example. I've lived in a lot of these different cities. When you are in a different city, not all of them, but some cities, when you're in a different city in the state of Michigan, it has been my personal experience, this is my personal experience, that I might go to a store and I might just be grocery shopping. My grocery shopping experience is not going to be the one that I would have in Ann Arbor, because when I'm in Ann Arbor and somebody looks back in my cart and they say, oh, blueberries are in season. And I go, oh yeah, the blueberries are in season. They just came out a couple days ago, you know, here at the produce station, they got the best blueberry. You got all these other places, but these are the blueberries and they're organic. Here, try these blueberries. They are delicious. And the person says, oh my goodness, these are delicious. Like, you need to get some blueberries. Son, go get her some blue. You need some of these. Go get her some blue. They have the antioxidants and all that. Go get her some blue. So you just sit there and you chat with them. Oh yeah, you know, we went to the park. Did you see the thing that just happened at Hill Auditorium? They bring back the blueberries. Oh, thank you very much. And you know, you might pay for them, you might not pay for them, you know, they might pay for whatever. You just had a full conversation, met a whole new friend.
Yep. Ann
Arbor is 6 degrees of separation. You're going to see that person again. They know somebody who you know somewhere, something.
That's true.
I'm in another city. And I look back in somebody's cart and I say, oh, the blueberries are in season. And they look at me like, why are you looking at my cart?
Yeah, so true. Wow.
Ann Arbor mentality. It's just different. And I'm not saying that everybody's going to be friendly to everybody all the time or anything like that. I'm giving you my own personal story. We have to say these things as real estate agents. I have to remind you that this is my personal narrative.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I wrote down a quote that you just said. You said, Ann Arbor, you got a vibe. You either know it or you don't. And that struck hard home with me right here, because we hear people complain about Ann Arbor and we see what goes on like the county page and this and that. And sometimes I get in discussions and they're like, why do you think Ann Arbor is so good? My experience is horrible. I'm like, I don't know who you were hanging with, but my whole Ann Arbor experience for 23, 24 years was out of this world, with amazing people, with amazing neighbors, with amazing college students that I never met before, having conversations. So I don't know what your situation was when you were in Ann Arbor, but I wouldn't have traded for the world. So I don't know if it's, you know, like there's a vibe there, like you said, either you know it or you don't. Like you just had me like think like right there, like when I hear people complain about Ann Arbor, I'm like, what are you like? Are you crazy?
Come on, man. Some people just like to complain.
Yeah, I guess so, because shoot.
And you're gonna see what you're looking for too, you know?
Yep. You got that right there.
If you got that open mindset, you know, you can get into some amazing conversations in Ann Arbor. We talk about it all the time. Since I was a young kid,
right.
15-year-olds in a coffee shop, and you end up talking to a professor that's world renowned and you don't even know it. And he breaks down some stuff that just opens up your mind in a new way, you know, and that just happens on any day in Ann Arbor, you know, no matter what you're doing, it can just pop up and
if you're
blow your
talking
mind.
to me about blueberries at the grocery store, you don't know that and I just told you all these other things that I do, but you don't know that I'm an Ann Arbor Parks expert.
Right.
That's what I really am. Because here in Michigan, everything revolves around lakes when you're going for the high-end real estate market.
Okay.
Here in Ann Arbor, the parks are our lakes. What park do you want to be on?
Right.
So at the beginning of this podcast, I asked you if you were recording, because every neighborhood has a different niche. And that's part of it. Maybe that person was in the wrong neighborhood. Maybe they didn't talk to the right real estate agent who was able to read their vibe.
Right.
And I always tell people, if you have a dog, go and walk around that neighborhood with that dog and get to see what the neighbors are doing and see if they're doing what you want. Because to be frank, one of my clients told me something that I've always held on to. It's the craziest thing, and everybody's going to relate to it. So my client, she lived in Ann Arbor. She wanted to be in Ann Arbor. She loved Ann Arbor. But she was this type of person. She said, I want to live in a neighborhood where my neighbors don't want to knock on my door and ask me for sugar. Some of these neighborhoods, the neighbors offer you the chives out of their yard.
Yep.
They'll bring you by their extra tomatoes.
Yep.
But some of these neighborhoods, they're not gonna knock on my door and ask me for a cup of sugar. So what type of a neighborhood do you want to live in? As a real estate agent, I tell them to walk around and see if you are feeling that neighborhood or if there's a different place for you. Because in Ann Arbor, you can be a townie, like a straight up downtown person, and you can live on Getty's Road. That was the road that you were talking about too, I think, leading out.
Yeah, Getty's.
Where we have some of our most
hidden gems.
People always ask me this, because they'll be like, okay, I'm in Birmingham, and Birmingham has a lot of money. I don't know, y'all in Ann Arbor say that you have this, that, and the other, but I don't see it. And that's because in Ann Arbor, the best houses are hidden in the trees.
So true. One of our friends, who was it, Ed? It was Jennifer and Susan, I think McLeary. Her parents owned this house, and so you would drive by. We go down Getty's, go past the Arboretum, and then you would hang a left. I think before you got to the big turn.
That's what we talked about.
Yep, and they had this. You drive in there, and it looked like a white modern house from like Miami, like from South Beach or something. Like the way it was designed. I remember it was white with huge windows. You go inside, the design was so sick. And we're like, wow, this is in Ann Arbor. Like we had no clue. And I don't even know if that house is still there, but that was an amazing house.
Was it on that dead end?
Freetown Homes.
There's a dead end street there, and it has like a small
I think it might have been a dead end.
Those houses there are disgusting. I drove
And it was
down
a
there and
dead end
turned.
street.
What? That street
You're
is
not.
fire.
Yep, you're not welcome to go and see their fire. You have to be invited.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a
Yep,
client
yep.
tell me something else that I liked very much. She had just gotten this huge settlement. She had not had a lot of money most of her life, but she had enough money to buy everybody in her house, her family a house. Okay.
Nice.
And she told me, she said, not everybody's going to get invited in. So I want my house to be beautiful and architecturally unique, because some people are only going to get to see the outside.
Mhm.
And then
Yep.
the foyer, you know, you have your foyer, and then you have your meeting room. They're renaming all these rooms. I can't say a lot of different things anymore. You know, we're not allowed to say master suite. We're not allowed to say family room. Like, things are really changing up right now, just
Right.
for the record. So I want to be clear
Mhm.
here.
Understood.
So I'm hesitating on what I'm calling things now, because we're coming up with our own words. Okay.
Okay.
Primary
Okay.
bedroom, you know, second common area, right? So when you walk into the house, you have your first common area, right? Because you have your foyer, and then usually on the right, you'll have something. On the left, you might have an office, or, you know, depending on dining room, formal, whatever it might be. Some people only get to that point. So these entries are very important to people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something, because we're in Ann Arbor and we have access to all these fantastic people with all this great education at the University of Michigan. What's happened is a lot of these people have created some of their first architectural masterpieces right here in the city.
Really?
That's why you see this house. You said it looked like it could have been in Miami. I sold a custom house once that looked like it could have been in Arizona. Like yeah, it could have been in the desert of Arizona. It was little details down to the fact that instead of having corners, it had curves. Each one of the walls was a curve and not a corner. And, you know, these are the nuances that you learn after time.
Yeah. Well, there's a Frank Lloyd Wright in Ann Arbor as well. Yeah. Correct? Right?
Yeah. There's a castle too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
And like Chloe Duke's father's house, a good friend of ours, rest in peace, Chloe Duke, her father, we used to go to their house all the time. It's right over by Huron High School, and it's right on the river. And it was supposedly had a tunnel that went up, and it looked like it was out of Lord of the Rings, this house, the design of it. It was incredible. And it was supposedly like an escape house from a castle home that's somewhere near Huron High School as well.
Take a canoe, take a kayak from Argo to Getty's.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
They do trick or treating down there too, just for the record.
Oh, fire trick or treating over there. I went to
Huron. About that. You know about that.
I went to Huron High School.
People about it a couple
come on.
Yeah, we used
tell
to
me your
all that.
Can you tell me your experience about it? Because I've done it as a parent with my kids. But
so have I. Yeah, I've done it both ways. As a kid, well, I shouldn't say as a kid, as a way too old teenager, still going out, you know, trying to disguise myself. Hey, they had good candy and good snacks, and they had you would get, you know, of course, the organic apple people and stuff like that too, and you would celery sticks or something weird. It's Ann Arbor, you know. But you would get otherwise like the full size candy bars, not the minis. Yep. You would get, you know, it was like
every house.
Yeah, the best snacks. Somebody throw a quiche.
You reminded me of something else. Let me try to remember it again. I can't remember. You were talking about the Burns Park trick-or-treating.
No, that was something else.
And those, again, that's how you're picking your community. And what you had asked me earlier was, where are we experiencing expansion? So I do look and pay attention to where the roads are doubling. You know, where they're taking their 1-lane highways and turning them into 2-lane highways and things like that. My personal analysis, if I were to make a prediction of where would be the best place to put your money at in this city right now, I would say, and because again, we have our Ann Arbor mentality, and we have our different cultures, right? So Ann Arbor isn't for everybody. Some people
Right.
prefer to be in the community of Dexter and the little Dexter village, and you know, some people prefer to be in Saline, and they get into these little townships that are right along the fringes of these places. We have Lodi Township, we have York Township if you're going towards Saline, so it's going to be Saline Public Schools, and you know, you're going to have a lower tax rate. Because that's what we haven't talked about are the taxes. But this is what I say about taxes. You get what you pay for, and you pay taxes everywhere. And I'm so glad I paid Ann Arbor taxes during this COVID quarantine, because I didn't have any problem having a good time still, because they closed down the streets in the city and we just walked around. Okay.
Nice.
You know, and I spent almost every day at Getty's, just going to Getty's Park, Getty's Lake, spent a lot of time by the water. It was fantastic. So you also have these little townships, and the township, for your drum roll, would be Scio. Scio Township, and I'm going to tell you why.
I was going to ask that too.
If you're paying Ann Arbor taxes, Ann Arbor proper taxes, you're paying about $6,000 a year for taxes. Okay. Like just on an average, it's not even an average house. Okay. It's not average house. You just got into Ann Arbor. Okay. You're paying about 6,000.
Wow.
But if you're in Pittsfield Township, that number would be closer to like 43, 45. And then you go to Scio Township, you might be able to get 32 or 3,000.
Oh, and that's right there. Scio Church Road on in, beautiful country roads. I remember like nice farmhouses. I'm sure there's some nice lots out there too.
So that's where they're building. Out towards Jackson Road, out towards Dexter. And that's where they're putting new businesses and things like that, because that's the area that isn't as developed. That is because, again, we have this Ann Arbor bubble, right? So you have an east side, a west side, a north side, and a south side. And again, I'm going to tell you every single time, everybody in this city thinks that they live in the best neighborhood. Okay. And there are 4 quadrants of the city. We have the southeast quadrant, we have the north corner, we have the west side, we have the downtown area, and I could go into probably 20 different places, because again, people pick their area in Ann Arbor. If you're local and you're normal, if you've been here for a while, you might pick it according to your school, or you might pick, you know, your particular family school. Like I know my kids are going to go to, you know, we went to the elementary school, both of my kids went to the same elementary school. By the way, I have an 11-year-old and a 21-year-old. So I've been in Ann Arbor. I extended my Ann Arbor. Look, if God only gives you what you can handle, I can only handle 1 kid at a time, but I really wanted to. So I had them 10 years apart, and that was by design, same husband. Okay.
Well, actually, that's a great time to segue. Before we get out of here, what about your a little bit of your personal life? Did you grow up in Ann Arbor, or did you go to any Ann Arbor schools other like in your early years, or?
Well, again, I went to about 9 different schools in Michigan. And I'm one of the families that moved down 94.
Okay.
I never lived in Detroit because my family isn't from Detroit.
Okay.
We're from a little place outside of Detroit that's only about 3 blocks thick. Okay. And so we started in one of those little downriver communities.
Okay.
And then we moved down 94 through all. You remember I told you my mom is a zip code person. She worked in the New Center area in Detroit, so she had to be able to get to work. And she just moved us down 94. So we were constantly moving, you know, down 94, and now we're in Ann Arbor. You see how that worked out.
Right.
And so my experience in Ann Arbor with the schools is as a teacher.
So yeah, that's great. Where exactly were you teaching, and when?
So most of my teaching career was spent in Ypsilanti Township.
Okay.
And if we're talking about Ann Arbor and Ann Arbor adjacent, there's Ypsilanti Township. There's a little subset now that's Willow Run, and Ypsilanti Community Schools would be that and Willow Run. And then Ypsilanti Township would be its own school district, which is Lincoln. And Lincoln is a conglomeration of 5 different townships, which would be Willis, Whittaker, Augusta, Ypsilanti Township. We have some Sumter and Belleville also, because everybody's doing school of choice. So, and again, you know, people often pick their property based on value, and there is a high value on schools. So a lot of our search engines will be provided by, the school district. And I have to say, people will say, this school is good and this school is this. A good school is relative. What would be a good school for me and my family might be a different good school for you and your family. And that's why some people would like Saline, some would like Dexter, some would like Ann Arbor, some would prefer Ypsilanti Township. And you do have this balancing act between your quality of life and your community and affordability and things like that.
I like what you just said there, because you make me think, because we have a heavy following. Ed went to Huron and community high school. I went to Pioneer for one day, went to community high school for the rest of my high school days. So we have all of our listeners and friends are from mainly these three schools, plus a little bit of like Roberto Clemente, Gabriel Richard. But some schools work for certain students, other schools don't work for certain students. And that's something we've discussed on our show, especially coming from community high school, is kind of like the outcasts of the city.
And I don't mean to, but when you tell me that, my mind completely jumps to which areas and segments of the city your friends would be living in. So you're in the Northeast, you're in the Old West Side. You're also in anything that's in walking distance to downtown, or maybe a 10 or 15 minute bike ride outside of downtown. And there's one area in Ann Arbor that we did not discuss, and that's Barton Hills.
Barton Hills,
so the descendants of Henry Ford currently live in Barton Hills.
It's the highest.
Okay,
end,
there it is.
Right?
There it is, Ed. Yeah. There's our another one of our Detroit connections right there. Detroit and Ann Arbor. I'm telling you, there's a heavy connection. I don't think we really dug deep into the connections of the two cities.
And that's why I opened with, if you're going to, they are in Detroit, because Ann Arbor is a nice, quick way to get to Detroit. And there are people who live in Detroit and who work in Ann Arbor. And I love Detroit because, again, it's hard to find a parking spot in Detroit now. And I like places that are hard to find a parking spot, because that means nothing's going on.
I want to live over by Corktown. When I visited there, I loved it. I was walking around all day, eating, going to different shops, and having a good old time. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, don't get me started on the restaurants, because I'm a foodie. So there's a really nice Cuban spot out there.
All right. We're coming up north.
Yeah, I'm gonna come test that. I live in Miami now for like 20 years, so I'll come test the Cuban food and see what's up.
Yes.
I'm gonna hit you up in Miami. How about that?
Yeah, no doubt. I got you. I'll take you to the most Cuban spots.
Right.
I've never been to Miami. I'm half Puerto Rican.
Oh yeah.
I got that Latin thing going on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he'll take you where nobody speaks English.
Oh, I know. I know a banging Puerto Rican restaurant around here too. Benny's. Oh my God, you'll love it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So good. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I want to make sure that we're getting these last moments, and I think that can you tell us again how you wanted us to end this, please, Deanne?
The future of you, the future of Ann Arbor, the future of real estate. What do you foresee yourself, and just what do you see coming for the future? Because everybody around the world is going through all types of stuff, but other people are like, you know what, we're riding this out. We're going to enjoy our porch. We're going to enjoy the lake. We're going to enjoy the diag. Yeah, the world's crazy, but we got a home. Any of your thoughts? Any of your thoughts?
I'm so glad that you asked how things have changed in real estate in the last couple of years. And again, being specific, I'm talking about Ann Arbor and Ann Arbor adjacent, and I can stretch a little bit into Southeast Michigan, because we do go as far as Birmingham and Berkeley and things like that. This is how I see things changing. Let's start with, when they said that these are unprecedented times, we are very hesitant to make any predictions, because we're seeing things that we've never seen before.
Right.
We did not know how long things would hold value, but they are holding value. Last year, we didn't have a slow season. Okay. So once COVID hit, there was nothing. Real estate stopped. And I always said, no matter what happens in the real estate market, realtors are always going to get paid, because whether we're selling more or less, we're still selling and people are still moving. So the only time we have a problem is if real estate just stops. I never thought that would happen to me. I remember when it happened in the 80s with my mom, you know, because the interest rates were like 13 up to 18%, right?
Yeah.
Well, but they found a different way to make that work. And that's the thing. Realtors find a different way to make things work. So I already had an online presence. So we just went to selling properties on video. I had a closing the very first day of the quarantine, when the governor was announcing at 12 noon that they were shutting everything down. And we closed that in a car.
Wow.
We sat out in the car with the title company and we did our little FaceTimes and everybody did their little notarize and all that stuff, but we did not stop. Okay. And then I went on to sell, I think maybe 3 more properties that particular month. We sold things online. Again, we did videos, like everybody would leave out of the house and the videographer would go in. We did video open houses on Facebook. We did Facebook Live open houses and things like that. So we just switched it up. The most important thing here, though, to mention is that after that, it hit hot and it hit heavy and it did not stop. And it went, our Christmas market looked just like our summer market because everybody had a need. They had a strong need. People were cautious. We were all very cautious. And there might not have been as many people in the market, and there might not have been as many homes in the market. So a lot of agents had to get out of business. I will tell you, in that first year, there were 3 agents and I sell 20, 30 houses a year right now. We'll probably do more next year. We do like 3 to 5 a month, but we've been doing like 8. So I figure that we're going to do more next year. Again, our team of 3 people, the Hayden Hill Group.
Okay.
So it's the HaydenHillGroup.com. Ann Arbor Realtor Live on YouTube, Treetown Homes, and that's my Instagram.
Okay.
Corinne Hayden does most of our online stuff. She can't get enough of it. She went on TikTok and just blew up. Okay.
Nice.
But what we noticed is that immediately, as soon as things took off, they didn't stop. If you were that agent who had not a scarcity mindset. Some people have a scarcity mindset and they said, oh, there's nothing, I just can't do anything here. That's not how I see. There's opportunities everywhere. I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad you're doing good. I think I can do good too. There's enough pieces of pie for everybody. You know, it's a big pie. It's a huge pie. This is a big place, you know, compared to the populations of other places around Ann Arbor adjacent. Ann Arbor is huge and it's transitory. So every time you sell somebody a house, they're moving again anywhere from 2 to 5 years, going off to the next state. And then they come back. It's a vacuum. People leave Ann Arbor, they go and live in all these other places, Miami, Chicago, New York, California. And then they have their kids and they're like, I want to come back to Ann Arbor because I enjoyed my lifestyle as a child. And I want to offer that to my children. So I always say Ann Arbor is a vacuum. And when people leave, I'm like, okay, stay in touch because I'm going to see you again in a few years, or maybe I won't, but I'll see your friends or your parents. You know, they're all going to be moving back here. So what we see for the future is more of that. That is increasing. People are coming back to the city.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it even on my friends. I'm seeing people come back that been gone for over 15, 20 years.
But I will say this season, this month, we're normalized. Okay. So we actually had a fall season. We like to call September sale season because what happens is all the properties sale, S-A-L-E, not S-E-L-L. Because during the summer, what happens is some people are priced a little bit too high and they have to reduce their prices. Some people chase the market. They're not ready to reduce their prices. So everybody else is lowering their prices and they're still not selling. And then in September, they have a last ditch effort. And so basically the house might've been overpriced at 380 and then they dropped it down to 365, which was the proper price. But you know, they put it on sale. And that's because they're trying to sell it before November. Holidays have become extraordinarily important during COVID because that's, you know, that is your big excuse to get together with your family. And also we don't have anything else going on in our houses. So we want our holidays and our decorations, and it's something to do. Let's do something different. Let's put up the Christmas tree. So I have a feeling that this year, and this is just my gut, I have a feeling that this year people will decide that they want to focus on the holidays. So we'll have a little bit of a lull. That does not mean that we do not sell properties in December. We sell properties all year round. Again, especially in this town where people are transitory. It isn't just according to the college, because we don't focus on just the college students or just the medical students. You know, we have an entire population of people. More importantly, if you're a real estate agent and you want to make sure that you're always going to make money, focus on these things, because these things are always happening. People are getting married. People are having babies. People are dying. People are getting new jobs. You know, downsizing, upsizing, all these things. If my business is focused on that, then I constantly have business, because those are people who always have a need.
It's always movement in those areas.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh.
Totally makes sense.
So that's what we predict for the future, is more of that, and more people are having babies. For my segment of the population, you know, I have had a few more sales from probate lawyers now than I have had before, but maybe that's because I'm marketing to them more, because I know that I need to stay with, you know, the strongholds. Next March is the National Association of Realtors is predicting that nothing's going to change.
Okay.
They're predicting that we're going to hold strong and we're going to continue to be a strong market. The only thing is there's all these outside things that we can't control. For example, we couldn't control that a plane flew into the World Trade Center, and that changed everything. You know, we don't know what's going to happen with the guy. Just this month, we were concerned that the government might go on with furlough. Is that what they call it? You know, they were going to take a break. Everybody's going to be laid off for a minute. How do they call it?
Yeah.
And so we were worried and concerned that that was going to happen. And a lot of people don't realize that means that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are not in business, which means that we can sell houses, but we can't close on them. Only to people who have cash, and we do have cash buyers in Ann Arbor.
Yep.
I bet.
Yeah, I believe it.
I focus a lot on the cash buyers.
Okay.
Everybody does.
All right. Cash is king.
That's why it's hard for me to get a new house here in Miami right now. Impossible.
Because you're competing with those.
Every time. Cash buyer. Every time. Boom.
We'll talk offline about some things that you can do to compete with the cash buyer in order to come in stronger.
All right. I like it. Thank you.
The only thing you won't be able to compete with is how fast they can close their timeline.
Right.
It'll just take you an extra 11 days.
Okay.
Who wouldn't wait an extra 11 days for a couple dollars? And price isn't the only thing you need to tweak in order to compete with a cash buyer.
Okay.
But if you don't mind, people got to call me directly to learn my tricks.
Okay.
Right. Definitely. Well, tell everyone how to get a hold of you. Easiest way to get a hold of you. The
easiest way to get a hold of me is my phone.
Okay.
734-330-4310. It is not a secret.
734.
That's right, the 734. Call me directly, 734-330-4310. I work in a partnership.
Okay.
And we have a third partner now. So we did this because of COVID. We were not going to be down and out because somebody got COVID. So every client gets 2 agents who are aware of what is going on with their transaction.
Nice.
And we will continue to do that even after COVID.
Nice.
Okay. Very cool.
At some point, the real estate market will change. It has a tendency to change every 7 to 10 years, is the ebb and the flow of the real estate market. We are outside of that timeline right now, as it is 2021 and Ann Arbor came back in 2011. So I think that people need to be very strategic in their real estate decisions and repeating that we are a bubble. And some of our locations did not suffer at all during a recession. And we are Ann Arbor and Ann Arbor adjacent is very popular during this pandemic for 2 reasons. Again, our parks. We have numerous parks here. I'm a park expert. And also, a lot of people want to move out into the country and they want to be a little bit further away. Remember we said Scio, then we have Lodi Township, then we have Ypsilanti Township. So you can be out there on your acre of land away from the general population and still be 10 minutes away from driving into town and watching the fireworks.
Boom.
Yep.
So we're winning. We're winning all day. And those houses and the trees, don't talk about those anymore. Oh my goodness. All day. It's so much fun. It's so surprising. It's so much fun. It's so, I love to see people's faces when you get up to because they're like, where are we going? We were on a regular road and there was a town and now it's a dirt road. I'm like, yeah, it's a dirt road just for a minute. And then you drive through this canopy of trees and voila, 6-car garage.
Yeah, right. Wow. Crazy.
Garden Hills. We'll save that conversation for another day. Barton Hills is a monster.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can't
I'm
even
gonna
stop
hold you
your
to that.
car in Barton Hills. I'm sorry, I just
Okay.
wanted to say that part. You can't. They have these signs that say, keep driving, do not stop, do not pull over. You just got to keep on moving. So you're not seeing those houses. So that's why people say, where's the money in Ann Arbor? It's hidden. Because Ann Arbor likes to pay a lot of money to look like we don't have any.
Right,
And
it's true.
Ann Arbor people will look like they're broke, possibly, like, you know, just and they'll be some of the richest people. You know what I mean? They're just wearing the regular same khaki shorts that they've been wearing for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? And a t-shirt. Multi-millionaire walking right next to you. You wouldn't even know.
Well, that's part of the culture. You know, we spend our money on different things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's true.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't wear
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
All right, young lady. It was a pleasure.
Yes.
I'm saying that while you're wearing that expensive Michigan jersey, but you know.
That's right. With throwback Adidas.
You want to hear something funny? This regular old shirt that I'm wearing here is a $200 shirt.
Really? Let me tell you. Let me tell you this. Coming from Ann Arbor in our young days, we didn't know what expensive clothes was until we walked into Bivouac. Like we saw, like I remember, oh, we're gonna go look at the North Face jackets. I'm like, what's the North? We were wearing like sports jackets then in the winter, and we would go into Bivouac and we walk upstairs and see the North Face jackets, and they'd be like $400 or $500. And at the time, we were probably paying what, at $20-$50 max for a jacket.
Yeah, Burlington Coat Factory.
I was like, holy crap, they're selling jackets upstairs for $500. And the New York kids are coming in like, yeah, I'll take two. And yeah, let me get one for my cousin.
Mm-hmm. It's still like that.
Still, right?
Well, actually, you can wait
100.
till that New York kid moves out of town and buy that same jacket of the Salvation Army for $20.50. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There you go. You got that 100% correct.
Mm-hmm. Well, this shirt came from a boutique and they only made so many of them a year, which is why I bought it, because I don't like to look like anybody else.
Heard.
Another Ann Arbor thing right there. All the little fresh little boutiques and whatnot, you know, cell-phone.
Yep.
Give it that flavor. I mean, they're going away little by little, but they're still there. If you look,
that's why we do that on our website. Our website is us just living our daily life in Ann Arbor, and you know, and our Instagram especially is just us living our daily life in Ann Arbor, showing you what are the different stores or maybe some of the different desserts. I mean, we have a whole macaroon store. Oh, I mean, I have an 11-year-old who likes macaroons. You know, she knows what a charcuterie tray is. She eats tapas.
That's right.
I'm hungry.
Guys, right, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Yes, I got a GTFO.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, blessing us. You'll have to come back. We're going to keep our eye on you, and we'll have some chats, extend you some of our network of people out there, because I'm sure some of our friends have crossed your path.
Well, I would love to meet all of your friends. They will be my friends. They will get VIP exclusive treatment. And
beautiful.
I see your YouTube page. Ed, have you seen my YouTube page?
I have not yet. I'll be going there right after we get off of here.
We have 6,000 subscribers.
Nice.
And we get anywhere from like 1,000 to 10,000 hits on our videos.
Excellent.
Nice.
So, you know, we're going to make sure that we filter some of our activity. You know, I don't know how we can do that. We'll talk about it after you broadcast it, but definitely, you know, maybe you might allow us to broadcast your program on our site so you can get all
that'd be cool.
Yes, please do, and thank you.
I got to tell you the coolest thing that just happened. I got this son who's 21 out of Ann Arbor, right?
Okay.
And when he put this on his Instagram, my first comment was, yep, that's some Ann Arbor shit. That's not how I said it though, right? You know, I said hashtag Ann Arbor Public School alumni here, because my son got a YouTube gold record. Do you know how we used to get the gold records for the albums? He and his friend since 3rd grade got 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
And you literally get a gold play button from YouTube. That's the highest honor that you can get. And they just
that is cool.
Video conference thing. Yeah, he's the marketing, the business manager and all that.
Wow.
Oh, talk to him. We might need him on the show.
Yeah.
You know, those guys. Well, his friend won't be on the show because he has to maintain his anonymity. The page is called Easy Speezy. And
Easy Speezy?
Yeah.
Okay.
EAZYSPEEZY.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. And
thank you.
they do video games. They turn doing video games
Ah.
into making money.
Uh-huh.
His friend came out of Bowling Green, his sophomore year in Bowling Green. He already, Pioneer graduates coming out of Bowling Green. He already had this all set up. Liam had grown up with his mother, the real estate agent, so he knew how.
Wait a minute, I gotta stop you. You said they're designing video games, like you say they do video games.
No. They can
Okay.
design them too, but no, they're doing speed running. Do you know what speed
Okay.
running is?
Right through the game.
No.
Yeah.
Probably on
Ah.
Twitch and such.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Mhm.
going right through the game where they're showing the hacks.
Mhm.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to be able to dominate this game, they'll
Yeah.
tell you how to get through the level
Yeah.
Very cool.
as fast as they possibly can. But you know, you have to be funny. You
Yeah.
have to have a personality when you do
Mhm.
these things. And you can only market one tennis racket. So you got 3 people calling you saying, "Can we put our tennis racket on this?" And so my son is doing multiple bids all day,
Nice.
Killing
getting the
it.
best
We
deal.
want him on. We want him on the show. We want him on the show.
Well, his real thing isn't even that. He's actually a NASCAR guy.
Oh.
That's
Hey,
his real
we'll
thing.
take both sides. We'll take both sides of them.
Yeah,
There you go.
his NASCAR dude, he was like a 5-year-old up in NASCAR on stage. Like, I'm not even kidding. And you know, he's a Black Puerto Rican with a little bit of Irish in him. He probably got a little bit more Irish, but I say a little bit of Irish. And you know, during this time right now, it's huge. I told him when he was 5 years old, I said, if you want to go into NASCAR, fine, but you're going to be in charge of integrating NASCAR. And here he is doing marketing on NASCAR. You know, all those signs that you see around the track.
Mhm.
That's what he does. He does that kind of stuff.
Incredible.
All right,
Wow.
we're gonna talk then with possible future guests.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll send you the channel. And
Okay.
I mean, they're hot right now. They just went out to VidCon and gave presentations and stuff. They're hot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
Forget
cool.
guess. We might want to
Yeah.
hire him.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely having him. I mean, he might make more money than me next year. I'm again,
Yeah.
Ann Arbor Pioneer all day. So there's your Ann Arbor mentality. He grew. Oh, here's the funny thing. He grew up here and went through school here. He went to school in Ypsilanti for 1 year, and on his Facebook page it says, "I'm from Ypsilanti." I said, "Baby, you went to Ann Arbor Public School." He goes, "Well, I was born in Ypsilanti." I said, "At St. Joe's." But he's got his love for EMU.
Okay.
So, but his prom was at the big house. So he knows he's Ann Arbor, but he's one of those Ann Arbor kids who's not trying to be of the crest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get it.
It's all one. It's all one, really.
It you know, it's a thing. That's what people, you know. Can I be really crass? These are the things that real estate agents say that we don't say.
Speak freely.
There's Upper Burns Park and there's Lower Burns Park, right?
Yeah, so we know about that.
So there's kind of like Upper Ann Arbor and Lower Ann Arbor, if you ask me. You're talking about Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's like
we can discuss more of that. We can give you some insight on Burns Park, Upper and Lower, because holy smokes, that was our stomping grounds. I mean, I was there. I went to elementary school there. High school, we were still in Burns Park. After high school, we were still hanging in Burns Park. We were subletting huge houses we couldn't afford in Burns Park.
Yes.
You know
that story. That's hot. No, you got to meet my son. Tell him that story, because him and his boys could like make money off of that. Like, I got him. You know,
that was the first place I learned to rent a house and rent out rooms was Ann Arbor. I would get a house and I would say, okay, how many rooms are in here? There's 3 rooms upstairs. I got a basement. All right, I can fit 7 people in here at $300 a pop. That's $2,100. My rent is $1,100. I'm making $1,000. You know, that's how I lived literally downtown forever.
And remember every summer, Dion, that we would get like the sickest place for like little money, and we would sublet it from students and such that would have it rented out that would leave.
You had like dance floors.
Yeah, we had
the joint house.
Yeah,
we be living like kings. We be living like kings in these.
Those were the
houses.
co-ops, and we also just kind of used the co-ops to throw parties to make money for ourselves as well. So
You know how many people watch that video about this conversation about what you can do?
Hey,
I mean, no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
that's hot right there. All these students who are coming in. If we're talking about expansion of your viewing and subscribership. all these students coming into town figuring out, like I said, they say things like white coat district. We don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so let's educate. You know, you want to live cool as a college student in Ann Arbor. They can't freaking afford this stuff. Like they're trying to make, they don't know what they're doing. And they're just going, well, I'll just take an apartment. Nah, man, have your mom or dad buy you a $250,000 condo. It doesn't need to be right up on downtown, because we got a bus, the number 13, take you right down Main Street. Buy that place, rent it out to 4 people. It doesn't even cost your parents any money for you to live there the whole time. Even if the market is bad when they go to sell it, they didn't pay for you to go to college to live anywhere. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ann Arbornomics.
Ooh, that's a good title.
All right, y'all, I got to run because I got to go pick up my stepdaughter from school right now before she starts paging me.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Take care of the baby girl.
Such a pleasure. We'll stay in contact with you, okay?
Thank you. Nice to meet you.